What if I told you that your greatest failure, the darkest chapter of your life, could be the very doorway to your destiny? Close your eyes for a moment. Picture this. A single mother, alone, sitting in a small cafe in Edinburgh. The winter wind presses against the glass. Her pockets are nearly empty. Her dreams nearly forgotten. She feels invisible, defeated, a failure in every sense the world recognizes. And yet, from that place of despair, from that fragile space between hope and surrender, a story was born. A boy wizard who would carry the imagination of millions. A world of courage, friendship, and love that would change literature forever. This is the story of J.K. Rowling. And it is not just a story about magic. It is a story about failure. About how sometimes the cracks in our lives are the very places where the light gets in. Before the fame, before the millions of books sold, before Harry Potter became a household name, there was Joanne Rowling, a girl who found refuge in stories. As a child, she scribbled tales on scraps of paper, whispering them to her younger sister at night. She dreamed not of castles or crowns, but of words, of building worlds that others could escape into. Yet life is rarely a fairy tale. As an adult, Joanne's path was filled with shadows. A failed marriage left her raising her daughter alone. Bills piled up. The weight of survival pressed heavily on her shoulders. She lived on government assistance, wondering if she had lost everything. But through the loneliness, through the long walks pushing a stroller, through the cold Edinburgh mornings, she held on to one fragile ember. A story. A boy with messy black hair, glasses too big for his face, and a lightning-shaped scar. In cafes, she wrote while her daughter slept. Each sentence was an act of defiance, each page a refusal to let despair have the final word. Who is J.K. Rowling? She is not just the author of Harry Potter. She is proof that even in our weakest, most uncertain moments, we can begin to write the chapters that change everything. Today, we live in a world obsessed with success. We scroll through endless feeds of perfect lives, highlight reels of achievement, stories of overnight victories. And somewhere deep inside, we begin to believe the lie that failure is shameful, that if we fall, we are broken, that if we are rejected, we are unworthy. But look closer. How many dreams have been abandoned, not because they were impossible, but because someone was too afraid to fail? We live in a culture that hides the struggle, that celebrates the finish line, but never shows the marathon. We compare our beginnings to someone else's ending, and in that comparison, we lose courage. Failure becomes a monster under the bed, a shadow we run from. Yet the truth is this: failure is not the end of the story. It is the soil where resilience grows. It is the crucible where character is forged. Rowling's journey forces us to confront a simple, but inconfortable question. If failure is inevitable, then why are we so afraid of it? Lesson 1. Failure strips away the non-essential. When J.K. Rowling hit rock bottom, she had lost almost everything. Her marriage had collapsed. She was unemployed. She was living on welfare, barely able to provide for her daughter. And yet, in that darkness, something extraordinary happened. Failure stripped away the illusions. It peeled off the layers of pride, the need to impress, the endless noise of other people's expectations. What was left? The core of who she truly was. A woman with nothing except her imagination, except her love for storytelling, except the fire that no setback could extinguish. Rowling would later say, failure meant a stripping away of the inessential. It cleared her path. It forced her to focus on the one thing that mattered most. Think about that for a moment. Sometimes, when life takes everything away, it is not punishment. It is purification. It is life whispering to us, now, you can finally see what really matters. Failure doesn't just break us. It refines us. It sharpens us. It teaches us to let go of everything we thought we needed, so we can finally discover the truth of who we are. Leçon 2. Failure builds resilience. Failure could have destroyed her. It could have silenced her voice forever. It could have left her believing the lies that she was not good enough, not capable enough, not worthy of success. But J.K. Rowling shows a different path. She did not allow failure to define her. She allowed it to shape her. to strengthen her, to teach her the kind of resilience that only comes from standing up after you've been knocked down. Every rejection letter, every disappointment, every sleepless night spent doubting herself, all of it became fuel. She learned that resilience is not about never falling. It is about refusing to stay down. It is about walking back into the storm again and again, even when your hands are trembling, even when your heart is heavy with fear. Rowling's resilience was not loud. It was quiet. It was the quiet strength of a single mother, writing late at night, with her baby sleeping beside her, pouring her soul into a story the world had not yet believed in. This resilience, this unshakable determination, was the bridge between failure and greatness. Because life will test us, life will break us. But resilience, the courage to keep moving forward, is what turns wounds into wisdom and struggle into strength. Lesson 3. Failure leads to true success. Here's the paradox of life. Sometimes it is failure itself that leads us exactly where we were meant to be. For J.K. Rowling, every door that slammed shut was quietly guiding her toward the one door that would open. The door to a story that would change the world. Harry Potter was not born out of comfort. It was not the product of ease or wealth or certainty. It was born from struggle. It was born from nights of despair, from moments when giving up seemed easier than pressing on. But it is in the ashes of failure that true success often takes root. When the world finally opened its eyes to her story, Rowling's words spread like wildfire. They touched millions. They shaped childhoods. They reminded people young and old that magic could be found in the darkest of times if only we remembered to turn on the light. This was not success despite her failures. This was success because of them. Her failures carved her character. They deepened her empathy. They made her voice real, authentic, unshakable. And so, Rowling teaches us a profound truth. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the foundation of it. True success is not built on a life without pain. It is built on the courage to keep moving through pain, to keep creating, to keep believing, even when no one else does. Rowling's triumph is living proof. Without her failures, there would be no Harry Potter. Without her darkest nights, there would be no brightest dawn. So here we are, at the end of Rowling's story, and perhaps at the beginning of your own. Failure is not a curse. It is not a mark of shame. It is the quiet teacher that carves us into who we are meant to be. When J.K. Rowling sat at her lowest point, she could not see the millions of lives she would touch. She could not see the countless children who would learn courage from Harry, or the adults who would rediscover wonder through her words. All she saw was rejection. All she felt was doubt. And yet she kept going. That is her true magic. Not wands, not spells, but persistence, the refusal to let failure have the last word. And now, the lesson is yours. When life brings you to your knees, when doors close, when the voices of doubt echo louder than your own, remember Rowling. Remember that failure is not the end. It is a beginning in disguise. Take your pain, your setbacks, your heartbreaks, and turn them into the soil where your greatest triumph will grow. Because maybe, just maybe, your story, like Rowling's, is waiting to light the world. And it begins with the courage to rise again.